10 ultra-rare factory pickups from the 1960s that changed muscle car history. Few machines from the 1960s managed to do something completely unexpected. They combined utility with real performance before the idea even became popular. At the time, most people didn't fully understand what they were looking at, but these pickups quietly pushed boundaries and changed how performance could exist in everyday vehicles. Years later, their impact feels impossible to ignore. 10. 1960 Ford Falcon Ranchero. At a time when trucks were expected to be purely functional, this machine quietly introduced a completely different idea that few people fully understood at first. The 1960 Ford Falcon Ranchero wasn't designed to compete with heavy-duty pickups. Instead, it offered a lighter, more approachable alternative that blended everyday comfort with practical utility. It carried the front-end feel of a compact car while still providing a usable cargo bed in the rear. Weighing around 2,700 pounds, the vehicle felt noticeably lighter than traditional trucks. This lighter structure made it more suitable for daily use, especially in environments where larger trucks felt bulky. Under the hood, it came equipped with a 2.4-liter inline-six engine, producing around 90 horsepower and delivering approximately 138 pound-feet of torque. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 16.5 seconds, which reflected its focus on practicality rather than speed. What made it stand out was how natural it felt behind the wheel. Instead of the rough, heavy feel associated with trucks, it drove more like a small car, making it comfortable for longer drives and everyday errands. Rather than focusing on aggressive styling, it featured a clean and simple design that emphasized usability. Its compact size and straightforward layout made it easy to handle while still maintaining a distinct identity. The driving experience feels smooth and predictable, with power delivered in a steady and controlled manner. It doesn't rush or overwhelm. Instead, it builds confidence through consistency. This approach allowed it to appeal to a wider range of drivers, especially those who needed utility without sacrificing comfort. This vehicle introduced a new way of thinking, showing that practicality and ease of use could come together in a single package. That shift in perspective is what helped it stand out, offering something different at a time when most vehicles were still following the same traditional path without questioning it. 9. 1965 Chevrolet El Camino SS 396. Power wasn't subtle here, and from the very first moment this machine moved, it made its intentions absolutely clear without needing any explanation. The 1965 Chevrolet El Camino SS 396 took the idea of a car-based pickup and pushed it deep into muscle territory. It didn't settle for being just practical or just stylish. Instead, it leaned heavily into performance, giving drivers something that felt far more aggressive than its appearance suggested. Weighing close to 3,500 pounds, the vehicle carried a balanced feel that allowed it to make the most of its power. That weight wasn't excessive, but it was enough to keep the car stable under acceleration while still feeling responsive. What made the experience stand out was how immediate everything felt. The throttle response, the sound, and the overall behavior created a sense of urgency that separated it from more relaxed vehicles of the time. Under the hood sat a 6.5-liter V8 engine, producing around 325 horsepower and delivering approximately 410 pound-feet of torque. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 6.1 seconds, which was strong performance for a vehicle that also offered utility. Instead of trying to smooth out the driving experience, this machine embraced its raw nature. Every input translated directly into action, making the driver feel fully connected to what the car was doing at all times. The design reflected that same attitude, with a long, confident stance that hinted at its performance without needing excessive detail. It didn't try to overcomplicate things. It simply looked ready to perform. Driving it feels powerful and engaging, with acceleration that builds quickly and keeps pushing forward with authority. There's a sense of momentum that continues to grow as you stay on the throttle. It wasn't built to be refined or overly comfortable, and that's exactly what gives it character. By focusing on performance without distraction, this vehicle managed to stand apart in a way that still feels impactful, delivering an experience that stays with you long after the drive is over. 8. 1963 Ford Econoline pickup. Forward-thinking in layout, and unlike anything most drivers were used to, this machine introduced a completely different approach to how a pickup could be built and experienced. The 1963 Ford Econoline pickup moved the engine and cabin forward, creating a flat floor and maximizing usable space. This design wasn't just about looks, it was about practicality, allowing for better cargo capacity in a more compact footprint. What stands out immediately is how different it feels from traditional trucks. Sitting over the front wheels changes the driving perspective, making everything feel closer and more connected, especially at lower speeds. Instead of carrying excess weight, it stayed relatively light at around 2,900 pounds. That made it especially useful in urban environments where larger trucks struggled. Under the hood, it featured a 2.8-liter inline-six engine, producing around 101 horsepower and delivering approximately 154 pound-feet of torque. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 17.2 seconds, reflecting its focus on utility rather than speed. The driving experience feels unique, with a more upright position and a direct sense of control. It doesn't behave like a conventional pickup. Instead, it creates a different rhythm that takes a moment to adjust to. Rather than focusing on aggressive styling, it carried a clean and functional design that emphasized efficiency. Power delivery is smooth and predictable, giving the driver confidence without overwhelming them. It's not fast, but it's consistent, which is exactly what it was built for. This vehicle didn't try to compete with traditional pickups on their terms. Instead, it introduced an alternative way of thinking. By taking a completely different approach, it managed to create something that still feels distinctive, showing that innovation doesn't always need to be extreme to make a lasting impact. These pickups changed performance before anyone realized it. 7. 1968 Ford Ranchero GT 428 CJ. Sudden bursts of power define the personality of this machine, and once it starts moving, it becomes clear that this wasn't built to behave like an ordinary utility vehicle. The 1968 Ford Ranchero GT, equipped with the 428 Cobra jet, pushed the car-based pickup concept into serious performance territory. It wasn't just about carrying loads anymore. It was about delivering muscle car strength in a body that could still serve a practical role. What makes it stand out is how aggressively it responds when pushed. There's no hesitation in how the power arrives. It comes forward with force, making the experience feel immediate and intense. Under the hood sat a 7.1-liter V8 engine, producing around 335 horsepower and delivering approximately 440 pound-feet of torque. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 5.8 seconds, which placed it firmly among the quicker machines of its time. With a weight of roughly 3,600 pounds, the Ranchero GT maintained a solid balance between power and control. That weight allowed it to stay planted while still feeling responsive enough under acceleration. The suspension, stance, and overall setup were clearly influenced by its muscle car roots, giving it a more aggressive driving character. The throttle response is sharp, and the engine delivers a strong pull that keeps building as you stay on it. The design reflects that same confidence, with bold lines and a presence that suggests strength without needing to overstate it. It doesn't try to smooth out its behavior, and that's exactly what makes it appealing to enthusiasts who want something more raw. There's a sense of urgency in how it moves, a feeling that it's always ready to push harder whenever asked, creating an experience that feels powerful, immediate, and unmistakably focused on delivering performance in a way that few vehicles of its kind ever manage to achieve. If you love classic machines, make sure you're subscribed. 6. 1969 GMC Sprint SP. Smooth in appearance but carrying more strength than expected, this machine quietly delivered a blend of performance and practicality that often went unnoticed at the time. The 1969 GMC Sprint SP followed a familiar formula, combining the comfort of a passenger car with the usefulness of a pickup bed. Yet it added its own identity through subtle design and balanced performance. It wasn't built to dominate attention, but it offered a driving experience that felt complete in everyday situations. Under the hood, it typically came equipped with a 5.7-liter V8 engine, producing around 255 horsepower and delivering approximately 355 pound-feet of torque. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 7.2 seconds, which made it feel surprisingly capable for a vehicle in its category. It doesn't feel overly aggressive or demanding. Instead, it delivers its performance in a controlled and predictable manner. Weighing close to 3,700 pounds, the Sprint SP maintained a balanced and stable feel. That weight helped it stay planted while still allowing it to respond well under acceleration. Instead of focusing on extreme styling, it carried a clean and confident look. The long body lines and simple details gave it a timeless presence that still feels right even today. From behind the wheel, the experience feels relaxed yet capable. The power delivery is smooth, and the overall behavior leans toward comfort without completely sacrificing performance. This vehicle didn't try to redefine the segment in an obvious way. Instead, it refined what already worked, creating something that felt easy to live with. By focusing on consistency rather than extremes, it managed to deliver a driving experience that felt dependable, usable, and quietly impressive without needing to demand attention. 5. 1964 Chevrolet El Camino. Redesigned with a sharper identity, this machine stepped away from its earlier form and introduced a more confident, performance-oriented presence that felt noticeably different on the road. The 1964 Chevrolet El Camino brought a new level of refinement to the car-based pickup concept. It didn't just improve how it looked, it changed how it behaved, offering better balance, improved structure, and a stronger connection to muscle car performance. What makes it stand out is how composed it feels during everyday driving. It doesn't carry the heaviness of traditional trucks. Instead, it moves with a smoother and more controlled character that makes it easier to handle. Weighing around 3,400 pounds, the vehicle maintained a solid yet manageable feel. That weight helped keep it stable under acceleration, while still allowing it to remain responsive in different driving situations. Under the hood, it commonly featured a 5.4-liter V8 engine, producing around 300 horsepower and delivering approximately 360 pound-feet of torque. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 6.5 seconds, making it feel lively for a vehicle that also offered utility. Instead of relying on aggressive behavior, this car delivered its performance in a more controlled way. The power builds steadily, creating a driving experience that feels confident rather than unpredictable. The design reflected that same balance, with cleaner lines and a more refined look that made it appear both stylish and capable at the same time. From behind the wheel, the experience feels smooth and engaging. It responds well to input, and the overall driving feel leans toward comfort without losing its sense of strength. It wasn't built to be extreme in any one area, but it performed well across multiple aspects, allowing the driver to enjoy both its performance and practicality without feeling overwhelmed. That combination is what gives it its identity, offering a driving experience that feels controlled, capable, and distinctly different from the heavier trucks of its era. 4. 1961 Studebaker Champ Pickup. Unconventional from the moment it appeared, this machine brought a different kind of thinking into a segment that was still focused on tradition. The 1961 Studebaker Champ Pickup didn't follow the usual formula of heavy-duty trucks. Instead, it combined elements of passenger cars with pickup functionality, creating something that felt lighter, more approachable, and easier to use in everyday situations. What makes it stand out is how simple and practical it feels. There's no unnecessary complexity, just a straightforward design that focuses on usability and efficiency rather than aggressive performance. Weighing around 2,800 pounds, the Champ remained relatively light compared to other trucks of its time. That reduced weight helped improve maneuverability, making it easier to handle in tighter spaces in daily driving conditions. Under the hood, it featured a 4.2-liter V8 engine, producing around 180 horsepower and delivering approximately 280 pound-feet of torque. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 10.5 seconds, which was solid for a vehicle designed with practicality in mind. Rather than focusing on raw power, this truck delivered a more balanced experience. The design reflected that same philosophy, blending a car-like front end with a functional cargo area. It didn't try to look overly tough. Instead, it focused on being useful and efficient. From behind the wheel, the experience feels relaxed and predictable. The steering is manageable, the ride is comfortable enough for daily use, and the overall behavior is easy to understand. It wasn't built to compete with larger or more powerful trucks, but it didn't need to. Its strength came from how well it served its purpose. What stays with you is how naturally everything works together, creating a vehicle that feels easy to live with and surprisingly capable in ways that only become clear after spending real time behind the wheel. Not all muscle came from cars, some came from trucks. 3. 1967. Mercury Ranchero GT. Confidence shows up immediately with this machine, and once it starts moving, it becomes clear that it wasn't built to play a secondary role to anything else on the road. The 1967 Mercury Ranchero GT took the familiar car-based pickup formula. It didn't just offer practicality, it added a level of performance that made it feel far more serious than most vehicles in its category. Weighing around 3,600 pounds, the vehicle carried enough mass to stay planted while still feeling responsive under acceleration. That balance allowed it to deliver power in a controlled yet forceful way. What stands out most is how strong the acceleration feels when pushed. It doesn't build slowly, instead it responds with urgency, creating a driving experience that feels immediate and engaging. Under the hood, it commonly featured a 6.4-liter V8 engine, producing around 335 horsepower and delivering approximately 427 pound-feet of torque. It could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 6.2 seconds, placing it among the quicker machines of its time. Rather than focusing on comfort first, this vehicle leans toward performance. From behind the wheel, the experience feels direct and connected. Every input translates clearly, and the power delivery keeps building as you stay on the throttle. The design matches that same energy, with bold lines and a strong presence that makes it stand out without needing excessive detail. It doesn't try to smooth out its behavior, and that rawness is exactly what gives it appeal to enthusiasts who want something more engaging. There's a sense of purpose in how it moves, a feeling that everything is working toward delivering performance without distraction. It becomes clear why this machine feels far more serious than its practical appearance might suggest at first glance. Subscribe and turn on notifications for upcoming videos. 2. 1969 Ford F-250 Camper Special. Built with a completely different purpose in mind, this machine focused less on speed and more on strength, yet it still carried enough performance to surprise those who underestimated it. The 1969 Ford F-250 Camper Special was designed to handle heavier loads and longer journeys. It wasn't created to behave like a lightweight pickup. Instead, it embraced